Hey, everybody. Great to be back. This is Coach Michael here with my Monday open class that I'm doing. And hope you all had a really nice weekend. And we have some emails, a couple emails and a comment from our YouTube channel that I'm going to be going through. So let's just jump right into it. So the first question we have is from Mackenzie. And Mackenzie asks, hi, I've been experiencing terrible insomnia for the last 7 months. It began with the start of the pandemic and losing my job and keeps cycling out of control. 1 week I'll be perfectly fine, still taking sleep meds. And the next I'll not sleep whatsoever. I keep thinking there's something wrong with me where my body just randomly loses the ability to sleep and I won't get it back. I've searched sporadic fatal insomnia and it scares me. Please help. I want more information on extended periods of insomnia with little to no sleep for nights on end. Is this normal? I feel like I am going crazy. Okay, Mackenzie, yeah, a lot going on there. First, everything that you are talking about is pretty common. You know, it kind of falls right into that 3P model of insomnia that maybe you've heard about, maybe not, but it starts with kind of a predisposition to insomnia and then a precipitating event. So maybe you're a bit focused, really health focused, tend to worry a bit about things in general, and specifically with sleep. And then something happens. That's the precipitating event. So losing a job, the pandemic, all of that has been very disruptive for many people. So that's just kind of explains, I think, where you are. And then the third P of this 3P model is perpetuation of insomnia. So it's like perpetuating factors, things that people do that drive the insomnia. And I kind of picked up on, I sensed some of that there. And often when these perpetuating factors, they tend to be coping strategies. People want to cope. They their sleep is not working out well. They're struggling with it. They try to cope. They try things. They do those sleep efforts that we've talked about, and just to kind of get by. And so when I was reading your email, I was picking up on some of that. So if we look back on it, 7 months, start of the pandemic, losing the job, there's your precipitating events. And then it's 1 week fine with some sleeping meds, next week not so much. There's nothing wrong. Your brain still generates sleep. That back and forth of sleep and good sleep, poor sleep, kind of back and forth, really common. You sleep well, then you think, oh, I have to keep doing everything exactly the same way. And then maybe you have a night of poor sleep, and then you think, well, what didn't I do exactly the same? And then you start searching for that. You start saying, what do I need to do? And you start really hyper analyzing everything that you're doing that you did when you did sleep well, maybe the previous week. And then that just makes the problem worse. Sleep is really two things. It happens when you are putting zero effort into it and that you are completely 100% okay with being awake for a bit during the night. Those are really kind of like the two big, components to sleep. So you want to kind of ask yourself, kind of query yourself a little bit. Are you okay with being awake during the night for a while? It's side note, is pretty normal to be awake for a while during the night. It should never be a struggle. And so you can make being awake at night not a struggle by changing your thinking about being awake at night, doing things you enjoy doing, spending the time in a relaxing, enjoyable manner, and then understanding that you're functioning okay during the day, and so it's not negatively affecting you that way. So it kind of takes a little bit of looking at your situation and seeing how much is it really affecting you. But your story is pretty common. And not to dismiss it at all. It's just that it's a lot of people are experiencing this. searching for things like, SFI, sporadic fatal insomnia, very much a rabbit hole. I don't really comment on that anymore because it's so rare that, ask your doctor and watch the YouTube channel, watch our YouTube channel, and Coach Daniel, when he was interviewing Casper, who was talking about his mother who passed away from that. And you'll really get a sense for how rare it is and how it doesn't really have anything to do with typical insomnia, what you've just described. So I would just leave it at that. And yeah, it could be scary, of course. Extended periods of insomnia, it's not normal, but it's not uncommon for someone to have extended periods of wakefulness at night. So, take a step back, kind of regroup a little bit, understand that your sleep's not going to be good every single night, but that if you can make yourself a bit more relaxed at night by, the thought of being awake, then that tends to help. It really, really helps if you can just come up with, that indifference or that enjoyment even of being awake at night. It tends to help in the long run with insomnia. So yes, you can still produce sleep. Your brain produces it. And it's really, I just like to use that gas brake analogy so much that it's very much the brake side of things that you want to work on. The sleep drive is there. It's there. You just have to let it express itself, really. And by looking for things that you're doing that are applying the brakes to that sleep drive, that's where you want to work on it. And education, the key. It really is. Learn about sleep. Okay. Let's see. Let's go to the next email here. And this is from Anonymous. Hi, just an update about my sleep. It has worsened yet last week. I remember sleeping 7 hours and waking up, which gave some gratitude. I do still experience half sleep, half awake, which is known as paradoxical insomnia. Do you have any tips? Well, yeah, I tend to not call them tips. It kind of trivializes the whole thing. Really good sleep comes when you change your whole attitude about sleep. It's not just like, here's one little thing, do this, here's one little thing, do that. It's kind of the whole big picture, and it's education. And that you have to kind of really make sure you see the big picture when you're quote unquote working on your sleep. You asked, let me see, where is it in there? Okay. So, last week you remembered sleeping 7 hours. Want to make sure that your sleep opportunity isn't too long. So make sure, it's just a little more than maybe you expect to sleep. So you're not in bed for, 11, 12 hours, a little closer to maybe what you've been sleeping, which is good. And then that paradoxical insomnia, that label, I really discourage people from, getting kind of, really specific about the type of insomnia. It manifests itself in different people in different ways. And so be careful about that. Some people will talk about it's sleep onset insomnia, it's sleep maintenance insomnia. And there's some validity to that. I mean, there's some usefulness to that, but not a lot. And I just be cautious about that. That sleep state misperception and paradoxical insomnia, it's all kind of, the idea that sleep is, it doesn't feel like you're sleeping. And sleep is really strange like that at night. Really perceiving being awake, being asleep at night can sometimes be kind of hard to do. And so, one of the big things with people who have a bit of difficulty with that perception part of sleep is going timeless, the timeless night. It's probably one of the best parts of the big overall picture of working on your sleep is get the time out of the night. Set it and forget it. You got your morning time, you got a rough sleep window. And then, like I've talked about before, maybe try not checking the time even before you go to bed. So you kind of just ease into the bed whenever you feel truly sleepy, and nothing to do with the clock. So I'm just such a big proponent of that. So I would suggest maybe considering that. And I think you'll be fine. Just keep learning about sleep. It's really the ultimate answer to overcoming chronic insomnia, is really understanding sleep and insomnia. Then we had a question from the YouTube channel. Can you say a bit more about using imagery? You said you're a big proponent. That was from Edda and Elly. They were replying to our YouTube channel. Yes, I can absolutely say a bit more about imagery. And I did on the YouTube channel. There's a couple comments that I put in there, and then I realized I should just talk about this. And so that is what I'm going to do. And by the way, I will be checking in for any comments that are coming in live here. I see a couple, two from Jiggy Fun. Let's see. Had to call in sick to work. I only slept 1 hour last night. And I felt like I was doing great. It's well, if you were sick, that can make that can disrupt your sleep. So I didn't know if you were sick or you called in sick because you only slept 1 hour. Just be really careful about trying to let sleep, or your perception of your sleep influence your day. One of the best analogies I like about sleep is, like you're climbing the mountain to get to the top, insomnia immunity, we call it, the very pinnacle of being comfortable with your sleep. The best analogy I have for that is, if you're climbing that path, you're hiking along the path and you stumble over a little rock, you don't stop and get down on your hands and knees and take a picture of it and analyze it and ask all your friends and post it on social media and go research it to death. No, you just kind of shrug it off and just move on and just keep going. So if you do that, you'll get there. And when it comes, like with your example of sleep, don't even thinking about how much you slept or didn't sleep can greatly influence you kind of psychologically, how you feel during the day. Your energy level can be influenced by that. So I would encourage you to just try to forget how your night went. For the most part, I like to do that. The last thing I'm thinking about is how I slept last night. If someone asked me, I could probably kind of remember, have a rough idea and all that. But if you ask me, how did I sleep like 2 nights ago or 3 nights ago? No idea. I have absolutely no idea. And I think that's a healthy way to go about your day, is to not focus on your sleep time. So, besides, it's just probably inaccurate how you're perceiving it. So don't even try to really, to hyperanalyze it. Like the little rock you stumble on in the path, you don't hyperanalyze it. You just kind of like regroup and you keep going forward and, do things during the day you enjoy. And, you'll realize that you're actually doing fine during the day. It might not be a great day, but you can get there, and just prepare for the wind down in the next evening, and, just enjoy yourself. And I think it should all work out. Okay. Back to our question. Sorry about that. Back to our question about imagery. Yes, I am a big proponent with imagery. And here's what I would like to say about that. The first is, imagery is something that all humans do. We do it all the time. We do it way more than we think we do. People are daydreaming constantly. It's just the way the human brain works. It's all visual. We don't see very well, but we visualize, we daydream all the time. We have this big visual cortex in the back of our head, and every experience has a visual component to it. And so I have always, over the years, I've always encouraged people to use their own imagery in their own mind to not try to sleep. So in a sense, doing imagery, see if I can pull it up. There we are. Using imagery, doing visualization in your mind is how you don't try to sleep. It's ultimately how you don't try, because using imagery or visualizing, it requires you to focus on something in your mind, a nice memory, a movie, a book, anything like that, where you can really get into it and get detailed with it. If you're doing that, if you're trying to do that, you by definition aren't trying to sleep, because trying requires focus. And if you focus on sleep, you won't sleep. So focusing on your own imagery in your own mind, not a podcast that's playing, or, the TV on just for the sound, or, things people do that kind of like have a background kind of thing going. I'm not a big fan of that. You have your big visual cortex. And if you can learn to visualize in your mind, like you can picture right now, like where you are, let's say from outside somewhere, and picturing that, like if you're in your house or something, you can picture your house standing on the street looking at it. Or if you are, at work, you can picture yourself there. Well, that's a very human thing to do. So conjure up something maybe more interesting than what your house looks like standing on the street, like, maybe a great vacation you took, or a book or something like that in bed when you're awake. Then you're not trying to sleep. It doesn't guarantee you'll fall asleep. It just means you're no longer trying. So that's the first thing I would say about imagery. But the second thing is that, and see if I can find, I've made a little banner here. The second thing is that if you are having difficulty doing imagery when you're awake in bed, it means you're not sleepy. So using imagery as like a gauge for maybe whether you should still be like quote unquote trying to sleep, like you're flat in bed and the lights off, that kind of thing. Maybe it's time to do something different. And maybe it's get out of bed, maybe it's sit up in bed, whatever you like to do, but you're no longer quote unquote trying. You're not in the sleeping position anymore. Your ability to visualize in your mind is a gauge for that. So if it's easy to visualize, I encourage people, just stay there. You're good. Enjoy it. But if it gets difficult to do, like your mind's kind of jumping around, you can't stay on that great vacation or whatever it is, that's kind of a sign that you're not really truly sleepy anymore. And then leave the bed or sit up in bed or something, watch a show, read, whatever you like to do until you start to lose focus again on what you're doing. Then you're back to bed. I just think it's a really easy thing to do. And the great thing about it is that it doesn't require anything extra. There's no extra like thing playing a sound or whatever it is. It's just natural. It's just, you're just using your own mind. And that's just really empowering. If you find that you can get lost in your visualizations on something, that's really, really empowering. I know that's kind of an overused word, but it's kind of true. It's like your confidence goes up. You learn that losing focus allows you, it's like how you get the brake off the gas brake, right? You get the brake comes off completely when you are no longer focused on sleeping. And visualizing in your own mind, using imagery. It's not this hocus pocus thing. It's like we do it all the time. Humans daydream all the time. So tap into that. There you go. Those are my comments on imagery. And I'm just a big proponent of it. And I think that's another reason why I'm kind of a fan of reading before bed, because it kind of gets your mind somewhere and you're imagining it all. When you read, you're just imagining the whole thing. So I really like that idea. It's just simple and natural and doesn't require anything extra. So that was from Edda and Elly. So hopefully that answered your question. And hopefully it's something you can incorporate yourselves. Anyone can do it. It's not something you have to be taught. You just do it naturally. So that was pretty much it. I'm trying to think. We talk a little bit about the school. So we have our two first students that are in it, and it's been really great working with them. We have Slack set up, so we're doing. Coach Daniel and I are trading off weeks. So this week he is monitoring that. So we have for our members, for students that are in the member program, they can post questions anytime they want. They can instant message us. And if they have a question about something with their sleep, we're available. Trying to think if there's anything else. Yeah, I guess that's what the school is. Just it's starting off great, it's super exciting. We put the videos together. There's a ton of information there, a lot of sleep education. That really is one of the big, key ways of improving your sleep is to learn about sleep. It's kind of like, anything that's mysterious that you don't really understand that well, it can be kind of have more anxiety associated with it. It's like the fear of the unknown. It's sort of the same idea. The more you learn about sleep, the less anxiety will be associated with sleep. So education is key for overcoming insomnia. Let's see. Elly is here. Hey, Elly. Let's see. Let me pull up. Here we are. Thank you for addressing well what imagery does. I most likely don't do imagery when I'm relaxing much because it causes intense anxiety. Okay. So I would reply this way. I know what you're saying. When you're okay, so let's talk just for a second about relaxation. Relaxation is a prerequisite for sleep, but it doesn't put you to sleep. So being relaxed in the evening is common sense. It's just common sense. Like, you're not going to sleep very well if you're tense, whether it's you're mentally tense about something, you're anxious about something, or you're physically tense. For whatever, you're just holding a lot of tension in your neck or whatever it is. If you're anxious or tense, you're not going to probably have a very good night of sleep. It's just the way it goes. So if imagery is causing you to not be relaxed, causing anxiety, then I would suggest not doing it, of course. But the question then is, when you are in bed, let's say you get sleepy, then you go to bed. So you're in bed, you have to think about something. Like, you can't, the blank slate, you can't be like, how do I turn my mind off? It doesn't work that way. You can't. Little side note there, a lot of the world unfortunately turns to alcohol to do that. And there's just a myriad of problems with that. But you have to think about something. You have to engage your mind in something. And the last thing we want you to engage your mind is anything that makes you anxious. So I guess I would suggest, trying to like promote imagery before you go to bed. To me, reading a novel, it just does it. It's just, in my mind, it's just the simplest way to get imagery going. And then in bed, you can just go to what you were just reading. It's right there. It's like fresh in your mind. And you might just do that and then see if it's enjoyable. Like, really try to get detailed with it and, make sure it's enjoyable. But if you find that imagery is difficult, then, something, you're going to visualize. That's the thing. It's like, you can't not visualize. People who sleep well, when they go to bed, they don't necessarily visualize like purposefully. But if you really ask someone who sleeps well, no insomnia, they sleep fine. They're kind of like, if you ask them like, well, what'd you think about when you right before you fell asleep? They will probably tell you that, oh, I think I was thinking about something. And it might be really mundane, like it's just sort of like benign. I was thinking about, oh, I got to check the tire pressure in my car, tomorrow or something like that. It's like something like that. So I guess I would just encourage you to kind of explore it a little bit in bed when you go to bed. But then remember, if it's difficult and challenging and your mind's jumping around, you want to kind of like back off. Maybe go back to a TV show or something to do, reading or coloring book or crossword puzzle or something like that, to just kind of have some enjoyable time instead of tossing and turning, stressing, all this kind of stuff. That you don't want to ever go down that route. Okay, here's another question from Elly. Question: what do you think about going to bed, closing my eyes and not feeling sleepy, and just stay in bed with my eyes closed the whole night? Is that safe to do? I do this and I don't feel anxious. Well, okay, so there's a couple schools of thought on that. The classic CBTI is, don't spend long stretches of time in bed awake, period. But then it can be, some people qualify that and they say, well, what if I'm really relaxed? I got my eyes are closed. I'm just really relaxed, but I'm not sleeping. Then it's kind of up to you. I don't think I can really say one way or another exactly what you should do, because it's kind of introspective. It's kind of like how you feel really is determining what you're going to be doing. Be honest with yourself, though. If you're kind of like, maybe you're ruminating about, some things that are maybe a little bit stressful or something. You don't feel anxious, but, ask yourself, like, do you feel like you're trying? That's the question to yourself. Does sleep feel easy, or do I feel like this is going to go on for a while? If it is, I would encourage you to do something else. Sometime just lying there, eyes closed for a while, like, that's okay. But the whole night, I would say no, probably not a great idea. Try something different, especially, that's kind of like if you've been doing that, but you're having trouble sleeping, maybe try something different. So that would be my comment on that. Hopefully that was an okay comment for you there. Let's see. We have another question here from AA. Hi, Michael. My doctor told me that I have a paradoxical insomnia and I don't feel sleepy at all, but CBTI says only go to sleep when you feel sleepy. What should I do? Okay, CBTI says only go to bed when you feel sleepy. It's paradoxical insomnia, again, back to kind of like labeling it. It's, you want to feel sleepy when you go to bed. It's just like it's kind of that association thing. I know you can't force an association, but clearly if you make going to bed a calm and relaxing, enjoyable experience night after night, probably is going to be good in the long run. But as far as, paradoxical insomnia, there's really no way to kind of like accurately measure your sleep. And so I think I like the set it and forget it idea. Just choose a morning time, stay pretty close to that each morning, maybe within an hour, and then back up on the clock, a certain number of hours. And then even a little before the start of that, you stop checking the time. I like that idea. So it just kind of eases you into it during the night. Just make it really methodical. That whole sleep like a robot idea. I think that's what I would suggest. But back to your specific question, and I'm not a doctor, I'm not providing medical advice here. If you don't feel sleepy at all, I would not recommend climbing into bed. That's basic. That's CBTI, basic CBTI stuff right there. But then, we like to kind of go a little step further than that, which is kind of like, how are you thinking about your sleep? Are you worried that you're going to be awake at night? To get to that good spot, overcoming insomnia, you want to just make sure that you understand that some wakefulness at night is normal, and it just can, it's something that you may experience, and don't let it determine the rest of your night. If you wake up for a bit, just be really indifferent about it, and even in a way, try to have maybe a little something set up, like you like to, I don't know, color or paint or something. Great, have it like ready to go, maybe in the other room or something. So if you find yourself awake at night, not knowing what time it is, the timeless night, and you just can kind of go, I'm just going to go do something I enjoy, and you start to associate being awake at night with enjoyment, that's really a big association right there. Not just like your bed being associated with sleep and all. That's kind of like, that's a little kind of, it's not esoteric, but it's sort of not something you really can control that much. But you can associate being awake at night with the enjoyment of doing something you like a craft or reading or watching a show or something like that. So I think I think you'll be fine. But yeah, when it comes to CBTI, you want to feel sleepy before you climb into bed. Okay. I think that is it. No other questions. Anyways, just kind of keep a short one here. Coach Daniel is monitoring YouTube channel comments, and also for our members, he will be on this week monitoring on Slack for our members, questions about sleep that they may have. He'll be doing 2 or 3, I'm sure, recordings this week, Insomnia Insights. I don't know if he's interviewing anyone this week. I can't remember, but he'll be active this week, I'm sure. And then on Friday, he and I will be back together to do another joint Friday recording that we do. And so for today, if you have any questions about this idea of imagery and visualizations, I'm kind of a big proponent of that. And it's nothing, super earth shattering or anything like that. It's just kind of the way I look at it. And I think it's helped a lot of my clients. I definitely can say that. And if you have any questions about it, let me know. Check out our website, thesleepcoachschool.com. For those of you that are considering joining, we have a free class that you can take. So it's right there on the homepage. If you go and you can take a free class and kind of check it out. So there's no obligation at all. And if you do decide to be a member, we are there for you, answering your questions, guiding you along, getting you to that, what we call it, from ouch to immunity, I guess, is like what we're kind of saying these days. We can get you there. So we hope you let us help you with that. I think that's it for today. You guys have a good rest of your week. And any questions, just shoot us a message and we'll go from there. And I will see you guys on Friday. Have a good week. See you later. Bye-bye.